the last one, Arthur Smith. He is going to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, Dave. Smith is 38. He'll replace Dan Quinn, who the Falcons fired along with general manager Thomas Dimitroff on October 11th after an 0-5 start.
Yeah, that turned the team around pretty quickly. I was kind of surprised by the instant leadership change. The players bought in, and obviously we all know that the 0-5 should not have been 0-5. That was horrible in-game play calling. Yeah. That literally cost them 3 or 4 of those games where they should have won, and instead they are the Falcons who give up the victory. They just hand you the fucking win, you know?
Yeah. And the big question that I want to start with here, Dave, is Matt Ryan. Because the whole thing we were saying is, what's Matt Ryan's future with this team? Is he going to be traded? Are they going to take a quarterback at 4? We got to wait for the coach to come in. Dave, am I wrong for thinking that with Arthur Smith being the guy that the Falcons hire, yes, I know Arthur Blank has said, well, whatever the coach wants to do, he wants a new guy, he wants an old guy, as I spill all over my desk. Old guy, new guy, basically, Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee became actually good again after his time in Miami. Can he do the same with Matt Ryan?
Well, Matt Ryan was excellent. He was one of the top quarterbacks in the game, and literally just a couple years removed from being the guy who lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I think his arm is trending downward at this point in his career. I think he's still a smart quarterback. And I think that there's probably a team out there heavily rumored, to be potentially interested in him. So I understand the contract is what it is, and he probably isn't going to take less money. But I would try to find a deal to move on from him so you can get that. Again, we talk about that connection. New coach, new quarterback. Let's pair him up. Let's move forward. Let's get Zach Wilson on board.
Yeah, and that's the thing where I don't know if any of these quarterbacks in this class.
Yeah.
I do. I have a little frog in my throat. If any of these quarterbacks fit what Ryan Tannehill was doing with the Jaguars. Man, I got a lot of water here. But basically,
Titans.
I think that Ben says Fields in Atlanta would be nice for sure. It'd be nice, but I wonder now. I'm starting to lean towards the Matt Ryan may be coming back, and they might pass on a quarterback this year. Is that going to be the right choice? Probably not, because like you said, Dave,
because of the contract. Here's the problem. You could take a quarterback this high in this draft and just put the pin on Matt Ryan's back and just be like, hey, you're not our future. There's no confusing that. But we don't know the next time we're going to be this high in a draft
to take a quarterback.
Get a guy this talented. And I don't want to sacrifice future assets to try to trade up to get someone who we think either Fields or Wilson could be available. So I think this is a situation where I'm with you. I think Ryan's there to start the season. I think he's there to end the season.
Yeah.
I don't see him being moved this season.
Now, is Julio traded? That's another discussion. Is Julio gone?
That's tougher.
And Matt Ryan is there? Because I could see that happening. Julio demands a higher price.
In a QB, even if he's not starting.
Ask it again. Ask it again. I didn't hear you.
You said words out loud.
Yeah, no, I know. I was worrying about cleaning up the fucking shit that's all over my glass desk. So for me, repeat the question.
Could you see if they are keeping Matt Ryan, could they still take a quarterback this high in the draft?
Yes, they could. That's the thing where it's you could always take him, have him sit behind Matt Ryan. And that's probably what they'll still do. Because the thing that I feel like this team needs, and what I'm more intrigued to see, is what do they do with running back either in free agency or in the draft? Because there are two guys that I feel like that's the thing. Arthur Smith's offense in Tennessee, and yet again, is it going to be the same thing where he has to think okay, I had success in Tennessee because we had a guy like Derrick Henry. Let me find a running back that can do the same there. And I know people are saying, Ricky, fucking Derrick Henry is beast.
He's a 101. He broke the mold.
He is a beast out there. But like there are running backs in this draft class that I can see being a same style running back as him. One of those being just Najee Harris from yet again Alabama. But the thing is, if he trends upward into the first round, are you really going to trade assets to try to get up into the first round, not to get a quarterback, but to get a running back? I don't really know if you do that. I can't remember the last time a team was like, yo, let's trade up in a draft into a first round to get a running back.
Yeah, that probably would have been a while ago. Or it could have been last year, and I just have no memory span because the NFL draft has a fucking 7 rounds. It took me a minute there. 7 rounds and a fuck ton of picks. So, like, that happened. But yeah, I think that here's my question to you. Does he try to replicate what he did in Tennessee? Or does he try to say, hey, I can make it work. It's just I'm the guy who had those weapons, and I made the most of them.
Yeah.
Put whatever's on my plate, and I will make the most of it again.
Yeah, see.
Remember, he's not a GM. He is a coach. So it's not like his final call. We hear a lot of these coaches who are like they have no say sometimes in the players picked.
Yeah, I don't think it would be very, 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 unless like him and the GM have a plan. Like, hey, this is what I want to do. You're going to make sure we get the right guys to fit my system. Yet again, like when you start over at a new place, you can't just come in and go, all right, I'm going to fucking put this outline over this offense because guys may get squished.
Yeah, scheme does not, the talent's not equal. You can't just drop a scheme on top of a blank roster and make it work.
Yeah, like obviously he's going to want to run a scheme that works for him, but I think that the first year it's going to be a lot of like, okay, how do I make my scheme fit for this team? What do I have to change? Because he may be going with Matt Ryan. Hey, he may even want to go with Matt Ryan. Julio Jones may not be there. He might not be there. Eric even says he has worked with Julio Jones. So maybe that's why they brought him in. Like, hey, maybe we don't have to trade Julio because they have worked together in the past. I am intrigued to see how this works. I think this is a good hire by the Falcons. They're getting a guy who's offensive minded. The other two, like, it's weird. The one was defense. One was kind of, I'm not going to be focused on either. I'm just basically a manager for this. Yeah. And then basically now we have the offensive coach. I have a feeling they made this hire because they're like, well, if you want to get rid of Matt Ryan, you can. But they did it because it's like, hey, you've worked out with Tannehill. Matt Ryan, yeah, got another aging quarterback. Let's see if you can basically do it again. But I think that in a few years, we will see the Falcons offense be back to, fuck it, I'm not going that far. I was going to go that far, but then I'm like, man, those Kyle Shanahan offenses were really fucking good.
Yeah, I was going to say, Shanahan's a fucking wizard, so.
Plus, I will say, the only thing about Arthur Smith I don't like is, and yet again, I'm hyper-analyzing on the one playoff game from last week, but it's like, he goes to what's working. Like A.J. Brown, hey, this is working earlier in the game. And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, let's force feed Derrick Henry down their throat. It's like, fucking A.J. Brown was working. Throw it to him more.
Yep. Like stick with that on hand. Sometimes it gets frustrating. I know the philosophy of the team is the run game. You open things up through the run game. You survive. You kill clock. Yeah. All those wonderful things. But can we be honest here? Atlanta's problem wasn't exactly their offense, Ricky. It was their defense, and it was
injuries
their
too on
clock
the defense.
Management.
Yeah.
So, like, one thing he could fix is clock management. I don't know if he's going to be excellent or if he's going to hire a guy who is a fucking wizard at it, because that seems to be almost a specialized role that could be seen soon. Yeah. But I do wonder about the defense. You know, what are they going to do to not be shit?
Yeah. And, like, yet again, there were some defensive
We're talking about wasting draft capital on a quarterback at the top of the draft, and maybe it should be better off going for somebody on the defensive end.
Fucking Micah Parsons, Gregory Rousseau, get that pass rush. Maybe that's the way that they have to go with it.